There is one simple thing that you can do that's going to level up your YouTube thumbnails. This secret is for those of you that have words on your design. Are you ready to crack the code? The first thing that you're doing wrong is you're probably choosing the wrong font. Tell me which looks better, this or this one? Someone needs to be able to look at your thumbnail and quickly gather what it says. And when you choose the wrong font, it could lead to someone just swiping past. However, it's not just about the fonts. It's about what you're doing with the words once they're on the page. The first font that I recommend you use is League Gothic. It is pretty bold. It's pretty narrow. It does a job. You might wonder how you can change the font on your thumbnail, and I'm going to show you. All you need to do is click whatever font you have, go up here to the top, click the arrow, and I'm actually going to clear that out. And we're going to type in League. There's League Spartan, which is also a good thumbnail font. We're going to click League Gothic. And then I'm also going to choose this one and choose League Gothic. This one may also need some tweaking, but I just wanted you to see how you could change the font on your thumbnails very quickly. And you see here what I used was Anton. Anton is the font I use. And I would love to know from you, comment below right now what font you use. Sometimes people will recommend a font and you go and try it out and think, well, that font doesn't look very clear. You can't really read the font. There's a simple change that you can make, and I'm going to show you how. Because which looks better, this one or this one? This one is going to look better. And this particular font is Montserrat. So the next two fonts that you could use are Montserrat, and I failed to remember my difficulty in pronouncing difficult words. So Declalotype. I don't know if that's right or not, but we're going to go with it. And don't worry, at the end, I'm going to give you a list of all these that you can screenshot so that you can look them up. What's the easy change you can make? Well, here we've got Montserrat. When I click the little down arrow right here, and let's go back, you're going to see I've got fonts listed up here at the top, Montserrat. If I click that little down arrow, you're going to notice that there are some families of, basically it's the thickness of your font. So it could be really thin, extra light, light, regular, medium, semi-bold, bold, extra bold, and black. By making that one simple change, it can really elevate how your YouTube thumbnail looks, and it can make it easier for your audience to read. And in this case, I was able to make it go from regular to what they call black. Declalotype has a bunch. So if I click that little down arrow, look, I can make that a little bit bolder. At the very end, I'm going to give you 5 special bonus quick tips that are going to really help you elevate your thumbnails. The next tip on why no one clicks on your thumbnail is that, in fact, your words are too small. You can easily fix this by clicking on the words on your thumbnail and dragging the corner handles and just making them a little bit bigger. Another font that you might want to consider is Barlow Condensed. The reason why I love this font is because Barlow has, if I type in Barlow, they're actually a condensed version, a semi-condensed version, and just a regular version, which is less condensed. But the condensed allows you to fit more letters within a smaller space. So if you have a long word, like, for example, I might have the word thumbnail, Barlow Condensed, I can make it bolder as well, may be a better option than if I just had Barlow. So make sure you look at the family types as well. Antonio is another font that I recommend. And in addition to clicking the down arrow and choosing, like for example, this one just goes to extra bold, you'll see that bold does highlight you can always just click on bold within this to be able to make it a little bit bolder. I know that Antonio is a free font, and you can tell the difference between a pro font and a free font because pro fonts have a little crown next to it. As a Canva Pro user, you can use this font for free. So there are going to be some fonts like CS Gordon, even though you may not want to use that on a thumbnail, that are going to be your pro fonts. The other benefit to Canva Pro is that you can always click text styles, which means that you can have a bunch of fonts. Example, if I wanted this to be a quote, then all I would need to do is change this and it's automatically going to size it and use the font that I want for a quote post. As a Canvassador, I can offer you a free trial, and I'll leave that link for you in the description box below. The next thing that you're probably doing wrong with the words on your thumbnail is line spacing. Look at the difference between this image and this image. By reducing the line spacing, and let me show you how to do that, you would click this box and you're going to go up here to spacing, and you can move the spacing to the left and it will reduce the spacing between each line. By doing that, it even allows you to make it a little bit bigger than you could have made it with a lot of spacing in between each words. This also allows for your audience to be able to read it quicker than if there's a whole bunch of white space in between your words. And that also brings me to another point. A lot of thumbnails have too many words. You really don't want any more than 3 for the best opportunity. Some creators do break that and it looks okay, but as a beginner, I really highly recommend you sticking to 2 or 3 words at the most. And sometimes you don't even need words on your thumbnail. A grandeur narrow is another great thumbnail font. We talked about different families, and a grandeur, I don't know, am I pronouncing it wrong? Probably, has 5 different possibilities. You can do a grander grand, a grander narrow, a grander tight, and a grander wide. So if we go with a grander tight and then we make it black, and by black, I mean the boldness level, right? Extra bold. By making it the one that's called black, it's going to turn this very plain font into something that is going to stand out to your audience. The other option would be, and this is the same family, a grander wide. Honestly, I typically wouldn't recommend a wide font unless you have a really small word, something that's just 2 or 3 letters, because when it's this wide and you have to shrink it down on the page, someone may not be able to see that as clearly when they're just swiping through, unless you make it a lot bolder. Remember earlier when I asked you to comment below your thumbnail fonts? Early birds are going to get a special surprise. And if you comment your font in the first week that this video is published, you're going to get a special reply from me with some tips that might help you improve your YouTube font. The best reply I could give you would be, don't change anything. Your fonts look great. Now it's time for the 5 bonus tips. What are the extra tools that you can do within Canva that's going to make your words stand out even more? I mentioned spacing. One thing I really like to do is make extra text boxes. So instead of clicking this and going up to spacing and reducing my line spacing that way, I like to make extra text boxes, which, by the way, you can do by simply clicking T on your keyboard. And then it makes it a little more customizable. So that's why I like to use extra text boxes. Quick tip number 2 is to use effects that don't overwhelm. This effect itself, which this one has 0 effect, and this little box effect, which all you need to do to create that is click R on your keyboard and then make a box that's going to go underneath your word. So, you would want to size it correctly, and then you can click position. And on the layers tab, you can simply left click and then bring it down, which I brought it down underneath this. I kind of like the way the other one looked here, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Quick tip number 3, 2 colors max. You do not need to use like 4 or 5 different colors on your thumbnail words. I used 2 contrasting colors, and I did it this way just for the box. If I were doing it another way, I may use the same font color and then use an outline or something like that. The more you can simplify it, the better it's going to look. Quick tip number 4, only use one font. I've seen some thumbnails that have 3 or 4 different fonts on it, and it makes it really difficult to read as a viewer. Again, you want to simplify. Just use one font. Like I said, I really like to use Anton, and I would never use like Anton Plus. It doesn't stand out as much as if it's got the same font. The 5th tip is that alignment absolutely matters. Some creators like to center align their lines if they have more than one line. And to be honest with you, what is easier for your audience is to have it left aligned. And with 2 text boxes, I can easily do that. But let me show you with this one. All you would need to do is click the alignment tool. And do you see how right here, this has a different readability than that or this? Left align your text box. All right, here are the font names. And Grandeur Tight, and Grandeur Wide, Anton, and Antonio. I'll give you a second to screenshot it so that you can go look up these fonts yourself. The next one's Barlow Condensed. I don't know how to pronounce it. I just like it. I think it's a great thumbnail font. Decalotype. League Gothic and Montserrat. Again, I'll give you a second so you can screenshot.